Hey, folks. If you woke up inspired today, then you have come to the right place. Today in the studio, we have Terence Kawaja, absolute visionary. I've been enjoying my time in him the last few days. He's the CEO and founder of LUMA Partners, advisory powerhouse for more than $300 billion worth of M&A. He's also dubbed as the Jon Stewart of the investment bankers. Probably because he can just drop a killer punchline on the edtech and then close $1 billion deal before your coffee gets cold. Like, it's a pleasure to have you today, Terry. It'll be a great conversation.
Great to be here, Shourya. Looking forward to it.
So, Terry, you have spoken about technology both as a disruptor and enabler in the edtech world.
Yep.
What are you watching most closely as we enter into 2026?
As we enter 26, what I'm looking for, we just celebrated the 3-year anniversary of generative AI in its current incarnations. That was debuted by Sam Altman in late November of 2022. And it has managed to capture the attention and the imagination of, I would say, every single constituent in the whole advertising and marketing equation, starting with the principles being the consumer. The consumer adoption is almost 1 billion weekly users, so fastest adoption of technology in the history of the species on this planet. Everyone from advertisers to agencies to tech intermediaries to publishers, I think, have recognized that this is the one. This is the big one. It's going to change everything. And yet, my observation, even through 2025, and this is sort of like a bit of an inconvenient truth, it's really, whilst it's been recognized by everyone, I think it's only been manifested by a handful of companies.
Yeah.
Obviously, the largest platforms with the most money to throw at technology and solutions. Witness what Google and Meta, Amazon, the biggest companies, of course, are the earliest. That's no surprise. AppLovin, I think, stands out as uniquely as a non-tech giant, although at over $200 billion of market cap, I'm not sure you can not include them in big tech these days, but they are an independent company. I mean, they started in 2012 as a video ad network, a gaming ad network, I should say. And here they are, a larger market cap than Disney, which is pretty incredible. But I look less at their market cap than I do at, say, their fundamentals, their revenue growth, their EBITDA margin. It's a rule of 160 company, which is not only rare, it's rare times 4. So I am looking for, in 2026, a little bit more pragmatism. I want to see what companies are actually manifesting this with paid customers and demonstrative operating leverage in their financials. And that means higher growth, better margins, and a higher operating leverage in the form of like revenue per FTE. Because if they truly do have AI, like revolutionary breakthrough AI tech, which most are claiming they do, then it will simply manifest in their financials. And I'm really looking for that in 2026.
Yes, I think we briefly talked about this, that if you genuinely are building good technology, it will reflect in your financials.
And I'll tell you, this he came to the front when we produced our AI LumaScape. We get a lot of work for primary, secondary research. And then, of course, when we published, a lot of companies with reverse inquiry told us, hey, we belong on the chart. We don't have the time or the bandwidth, or I would even argue the tech capabilities or understanding to be able to perfectly vet every company claiming they ought to be there. But then I concluded we don't have to. We'll just wait. And if it doesn't manifest in your financials, we'll simply remove you from the AI LumaScape because it really ought be reflective of the technology. It ought be dynamic. Dynamic additions, dynamic subtractions. I think it's the only fair way.
I love the objectivity of this thought. I think even I've been trying to discuss this with so many people. Like, how do you like really separate the great ones from the good ones and not so good ones. But I think that there's no other way.
I think if I had to describe what we eventually came to is we probably leaned in towards inclusion, and we will be ruthless or objective or agnostic about subtractions. I mean,
Makes absolute sense.
I'm reminded of that scene from Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. So if they can't show me or anybody the money, do they really have AI tech? And if 3 years in, then they have $400,000 of ARR, do they really have AI tech? I mean,
Yeah.
something is wrong.
Brings me to my next interesting question for you. Every major shift, whether it's mobile, social, programmatic, AI has created, like, all of these shifts have created giants in the market. What separates companies that recognize an inflection point early from those that miss it?
You're right. And some recent examples are, TikTok has just came from nowhere. And I think it is an obsession about the principles, what the principles want and need. When I say the principles, there are only two principles of the advertising equation. There's the consumer and the advertiser. Everyone else is an agent, including publishers. I know for a long time publishers were considered a principal, and they're an important agent or intermediary, but they're an agent nonetheless. They're basically a proxy for the consumer. They aggregate consumers, and that's lovely. I think it's two things. One is a complete obsession with one of the two principles. So if you take a company like an Amazon, their whole mantra is we just do it for the consumer.
Yeah.
So they're very deep in data science. They look at consumer patterns of how they use the site, how they make purchases, how they discover products, and they basically just optimize their solution and their consumer experience to optimize for the benefit, the value proposition to the consumer. In other ones, I'll now jump to AppLovin as an example and say, I believe they have maniacally optimized for the advertiser. In their instance, it's a performance advertiser. It started with gaming, it's moving to other fields, but they basically said, what is it you need? And let us build the proper technology that identifies that. And then virality takes it. It's not virality, actually. Virality suggests some form of randomness. This is intentional. At least the focus is intentional. And then the second thing I would say is both of those companies paid no heed to what either their competitors were doing or what companies of that similar ilk with that similar objective have done in the past. In other words, they weren't beholden to industry norms. They said, why should we just do it the way it's always been done? They questioned, the right sort of go to market, the right product, the right consumer experience, and they started with a clean slate. I remember in 2010 when Carolyn Everson, phenomenal executive, we all know now, but at the time she had just joined Microsoft. I think from Primedia or Viacom, I think.
Right.
She joined Microsoft to great fanfare. And 6 months in, she got a call from Mark Zuckerberg to join Facebook.
Yeah.
And she called me and said, what should I do? She's a loyal person. She didn't like the idea of leaving after 6 months. And she was calling me from Australia. I told her to sit down, get out a pad and a pencil, and write down the following. At the bottom of the page, write down, I'm going to Facebook. And I said, okay, now we're going to go to the top of the page and work our way down, but that will be the conclusion. And the reason being is she had an opportunity to start with a clean slate as opposed to, selling rectangles on the web. And obviously we know how that manifested over the course of the next 12 years. What an awesome opportunity. And I believe it's these companies that pay no heed to what has been and instead are forging their own future.
Love it. I think the way you talk about customer obsession, I think there's no better way to recognize these inflection points. You have to be obsessed about the customer.
I believe that's true. Or the customer, or the principal to whom you're serving.
Yes.
So AppLovin, doesn't the customers are not real other than the optimizing the journey and understanding their experience, but that's not their client. Their client is the advertiser.
Yeah, whether it's I think the enterprise customer or it's a billion users, whoever is your user, I guess that's
Correct.
client. Love it. Carolyn did mention about that Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Ballmer thing, and it was just lovely to see how Facebook also fought for someone like, yeah, they
Yes.
should like really join the company.
Yep.
So I think other than customer obsession, there has to be a lot of obsession about your leadership and who's gonna build the company with you. So it's a lot about folks who will join you early enough. And
Not only the right folks in terms of talent, but the people that share that same sort of boldness to sort of say, let's not just do what everybody else has done, maybe with a marginal improvement, 10% here, 20% there. Please, I've had it with percents. I want X. Give me a 10X better solution.
Yeah.
We have room. There is headroom for 10X and multiple 10X iterations of this trillion-dollar industry, I believe.
always 10x is always there. Next one is very, very interesting. Uh, Digital platforms have shaped consumption, short form, algorithmic, bite sized. What shift in consumer behavior do you believe the industry still hasn't fully adapted to?
I think media is well trod. We sort of discovered vertical media, horizontal media, video. I mean, the shift to video or the pivot to video, I think, was a big thing like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of, well, no, there will always be new forms of media. I'm quite certain. So I'll never say we're done on innovation, but I think an area that feels to me ripe for some improvement on is, I mean, let's step back. Why do advertisers advertise, right? They want you to convert. They want you to make a purchase. And that handout, that nexus between seeing media, getting a message, and then converting, I think has been a kludgy one. It's kind of awkward. You got the retargeters and you got the affiliate companies. That's sort of like I call it the 1.0 of the last mile of advertising. And I believe that the materially improved signal derived in a chat or an LLM sort of framework allows that last mile to change, to make it easier, to make it shorter path to conversion. Like, if I have to fill out, I mean, the reason why Instagram has done so well is because it's so easy to make a purchase. They make it's the easy button for a purchase. And by the way, when you're done, where are you? You're on Instagram, where you wanted to be in the first place. So when people are doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, whatever they're doing, let them see your message, let them convert in a way that they believe they're getting value, and then leave them where they are. Like, don't try to disrupt them, sending them to a website. How ridiculous that navigation. We're trying to send people all over the www. Your IRL that nobody cares about. No, let them be where they want to be. Respect the user and enable them to convert. And I think it's that last mile, whether you call it advertising or you call it marketing technology or you call it sales technology, conversion, commerce media, wherever you want to describe that last mile, that is the user experience that I think we could see some material innovation on.
Yeah, I think this is something I heard at AI LumaScape as well. I think you talked about this, that leave the consumer where they are, and commerce should be like very, very integral part of the advertising experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's exactly where media is progressing.
Yeah. By the way, 2 examples of like complete failures on that front. See link in bio. See link in comments. Now, those are done to game the algorithms because links in the main post don't get the same lift. That's all wrong. That's backwards. That makes no sense at all. What a horrific user experience. See link in bio? Wait, I have to now click and find your bio somewhere and then I have to copy that link? No, don't do that. An easy button is what we want.
Yes, I think, love it. I think that example is very good because I never did that. And it always,
I've never gone to a bio
Yeah,
to
never.
see a link.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, that's a navigation failure, a UX failure on your part. I'm not going to play your game.
Let's talk about something which, again, we talked a lot about in the Lumascape, which is like
Futurescape, the Futurescape
this
content.
time is, yes, Futurescape. Yes. Uh, let's talk about attention.
Mm.
What are some strategic moves brand must make to earn true consumer attention? Because the world today is like media today specifically is very fragmented. Uh, Impressions are not really impressions. People talk about CPMs, and I don't know how many people are actually making an impression on your ad. It's all kind of like
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, the vast majority of all ad spend is wasted, right? Because either not because it's not viewable, but because nobody looked at it or nobody important looked at it or not in sufficient numbers looked at it. It's largely ignored. I think it's very, very simple. I think advertising as a default historically was premised on the notion of interruption.
Yes.
So you want to watch some content, that's where you're placing you, the consumer, you, the very valuable user and potential customer of ours, has elected to spend your most scarce resource, your time and your attention, to look at a particular piece of content. You know what I'm going to do? I want you to look at me, look at me, look at me. So I'm going to get in front of you. I'm going to block your ability to see the content that you want to see in the hopes that you will pay some attention to my message. That's all wrong. I mean, when I describe it like that, you just know it, right? That makes no sense. I think advertising has the wrong value proposition. It's not interruption, it is a word in your question, and that word is earn. You have to earn it. There has to be a value proposition. If you want the valuable consumer's time and attention, then earn it. And you need to earn it with a value proposition. And so, what I've preached to often, people who don't listen, but that's okay. I'm still going to keep preaching because I believe it to be, kind of right. And that is this notion of facilitation. So put interruption aside. And now, if you approach your message and your format of your advertising to, instead of interruption, be facilitation, what did the user go to the site that I'm advertising on to do in the first instance? And is there a way where I can weave stitch my message into a value proposition that is facilitative of that consumer's time? Then you have a winner. And I used to cite an example of on weather.com. People go to the weather app. The good news about weather is you go every day. The bad news is it's about 4 seconds time, right? It's like, they tried to put movies on there about weather. That's not going to work. So the great thing is they've got a huge audience and they've got high periodicity, daily at least, sometimes multiple times a day. Sad part is they got no eyeballs for any duration of time. If I went to go and check the weather, I'm in a hurry. I'm dressing in the morning and I'm late, which is, by the way, pretty much every morning for me. And I say I need to check the weather. Is it cold outside? Is it raining? What am I going to put on? And I open that app. If there was a full phone takeover that stopped me from seeing my weather that I needed to see, not only would I not like your brand, I would like go out of my way to never like that would annoy me. That would make me infuriated. Instead, I always use this example of a Jeep ad where you came to the Weather Channel, you saw all the data, it showed you, it said snowing, it said 38 degrees, blah, blah, blah. All the data was there, but in the background, instead of it just being blank, it was an image of a Jeep next to a river. A nice image. If it was a sunny day, there would be a sunny day in the picture. If it was snowing, there was snow on the ground on the Jeep. In other words, two things. Number one, the format that they elected was in the background, so it did not inhibit you from getting to what you intended to navigate to on that website or app in the first instance. And number two, not only did it not stop you, it actually helped because I don't actually have to look at the data. Yeah. I see the Jeep with the snow on. I'm like, oh, it's snowing. And the snow would be coming down. If it was snowing or raining. It was brilliant. Now, that's the best example I can think of, but I'm sure there are many examples where if you just take the mindset of, let me help the user by being facilitative.
Absolutely lovely example. I think it gives you the decision much faster, like how the day is gonna be.
By the way, it's science. That's the same reason why I use graphics in my presentations instead of words, text. And most investment bankers have tables and text in their presentation. I'm falling asleep already. I use graphics because I want to convey the message. I don't want you to read it. I want to convey it. I want a picture in the background. And by the way, the human brain comprehends images 60 times faster than the spoken word or the written text. So it's actually science.
Makes a lot of sense. With the advertising industry rapidly evolving, obviously every year, now it's every week actually.
Yes.
What advice do you have for incumbents trying to stay relevant? That's one thing. And the advice you have for insurgents trying to break through.
So for the incumbents, I would say, there is this notion of a growth mindset. And a growth mindset suggests that you're always learning.
Yeah.
Always learning, always open to understanding, doing the work to stay relevant, stay up to date, and versus like the sort of static, defensive mindset of, well, we built a really big business. How can we create bigger and higher moats? There are some companies that are in the business of suing their competitors.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, that is a defensive, moat building, status quo, trying to hold on to the status quo at a time of accelerating technology innovation. It's a losing game.
Yeah.
You will lose. And by the way, I would suggest that even the embrace of that is going to attract the wrong executives, the wrong talent. No. Get a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a great example of this is Google. So Google is the company with this massive search business that's very much at stake with this change to AI. So what did they do? Did they make it harder to find? No, they did the opposite. They leaned in. They put answer summaries, Gemini-derived answer summaries, in your search results. And by the way, all that did was obviate the casual searchers. The actual intenders, right, ignored that, clicked through anyway, so that, yes, the number of clicks went down, but the CPC, the cost per click, went way up. Net result, Q2, Google search, not AI, search grew by 14%, Q3 grew by 16%. It's surpassing the market at a time when one would think that AI was going to disrupt them. Why? Because they're disrupting themselves. They understand the concept that Joseph Schumpeter brought to fore in the 1940s, I think, of creative destruction. That is to say, eat your own dog food, like eat your own lunch. And so I think that's amazing to see. Now, of course, they're a big company with a lot of engineers and a lot of capital, so they're capable of doing that. But I think it has more to do with the mindset. They went at their own business.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. For the ones looking to break in, to them I say, get on the AI LUMA skip. No, just kidding. No, at all costs. No, they. So what I tell companies is, before you go out and beat your chest and trumpet your capabilities, maybe get the product right. Maybe focus on actually earning that. And so there's a right time for marketing, absolutely. And I'm a big believer that companies, once they have a working value proposition and happy customers and they're scaling and all that stuff, let the world know. But there's way too many companies that make the other timing mistake. They're out saying, we're the greatest, we're amazing, we're awesome. I mean, it's kind of sad when companies get ahead of their skis. I get it. They want to market. That's good. They want to differentiate, but maybe earn it. Maybe keep your head down, focus on delivering value-added products to your customers that enable them to grow and scale, and then they'll join you on stage in a case study presentation to say, you stand up there and say, our technology is amazing because X, and then have, your brand, your customer come up and go, uh, it's actually even better than what he said. Here's how we used it, and here's how we benefited. That's nirvana. That's how it should be done. And I find too many get out of their skis.
No, I think I love it because I heard Steve Jobs talk about this, that if you fail at a product,
Go
figure to
market.
marketing,
Yeah.
and if you fail at marketing, you do sales. You have to do it the other way.
Yeah. I don't quite subscribe to the Steve Jobs because I think there's tremendous value in communicating, messaging, marketing, and sales. I believe in all of it. I just think it is a
Stage-wise.
function of, yeah, sequencing.
Sequencing.
Exactly.
No, I think Steve Jobs has been a terrific marketeer,
Mhm.
but it's post product.
Well, because, yeah, look, on that aspect of it, I mean, I, in my own humble and nowhere near, I'm comparing myself, but I'm saying Luma attempts the same approach. So we go out there with brand. We don't say, look at me, look at me. We put content out. We try to add value in the ecosystem and with a North Star of what we call objective credibility. And if we're able to accomplish that, then we can, of course, for our clients, we get to leverage that for their behalf. But it creates reverse inquiry. It creates something I call franchise, which is the difference between just branding and actually having people going, no, 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 I want your services. It creates reverse inquiry. Apple, Steve Jobs did it with amazing products that were materially better. So again, not the same analogy, but we're trying to do things differently in what is otherwise, let's face it, a commoditized world of providing investment banking services. I mean, writing up a book, valuations, we're good at it. It takes skill, but it's not differentiated. The differentiated part is what we can do when bringing companies to market. And it's, again, I go back to show me the money. It's demonstrating the results. We're already, we're 88 transactions in and we're still averaging over 10 times revenue. This is the part where you say past experience and no guarantee of future results. But the point is, we've gotten materially above market. Sorry, I feel that point deeply because it's our mantra. It's what we try to achieve at Luma. We try.
Okay, so this is about Flam. This is fun. AI products like Flam, as you know, and you've seen it yourself, are enabling brands to engage audiences in ways that was never possible before. And it's such a beautiful progression of how content has been evolving from text to images to videos, and now we are going beyond videos, yes, into a much deeper sense of attention. Where do you think the biggest untapped potential lies for brands in this new era?
So I'm going to go back to our second question, or with the previous question, where we talked about companies not being complacent to just do what other people have done. I think this is one where Flam truly stands out. I say this objectively. When you demoed the streaming 3D product you have on your phone, I don't want to say, first of all, I've never seen anything like it. I want to say I didn't believe you, but I didn't believe you. Like, I honestly thought there was an app or something on your phone. Remember what I did? I'm like, no, 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 no. I want to see it on my phone. I don't trust what you got on there because it didn't seem real, didn't seem possible. And when I did it on my phone and it worked, and I was like, okay, that was the hit home moment for me. I'm like, wait, there's nothing on my phone. So it truly was whatever you call low code, no code, very thin client. Like the way it rendered that blew me away. Yours blew me away, but I'm like, but is it canned? What could be on his phone? Holy crap. So I think what you're trying to do, which is hard, is invent a new format, and that's incredibly hard. But it's mind blowing. And when I talk to brands who utilize 3D, they're all talk about, yeah, it's wonderful, we use it, we have to. It's very expensive, all the storage costs and the latency, because they were doing it in the existing tech. I think what you guys are doing is you're bringing new technology to a beautiful, 3D rendering format, and not just 3D, but as you showed me, and as I exhibited on my own phone, it's interactive 3D, which I'm like, and because my brain broke because I can't figure out how you do it. I don't know how you do it, but it's amazing, and I think it's going to be super popular. What was the question?
The question was about how should brands leverage this thing, which was never available before in 2026.
So it's the whole new products, like cut from whole cloth, right? Streaming 3D, and it's the real time nature of it. So media, canned media, where you can watch something. Okay, interesting. This when I went to your website and I saw what the product looks like, I'm like, okay, looks nice, but I've seen that before. It's when you can do it in real time. That's when you're like, whoa, that's when my brain broke. I'm like, wait, wait, you can't do that. Or I guess you can, but I can't figure out how you can. Uh, so I think it's the application where someone's in a retail environment and they see something and they can immediately go to that experience so that they don't have to be at their desk. They don't have to be logged on to some website or some app. No, it's anytime, everywhere, real time, bam. That's, I think, how brands leverage it.
Absolutely, I think it's real time, it's interactive, changes everything when it comes to attention and engagement matrix that we are seeing. It's like it's not a it's not an incremental improvement from
Right.
what
No,
the world has been
finally, it's
towards.
X. It's 10X
Finally,
or some other number multiple of X, but it's in the X category, not in the percent category. I mean, I had companies that come in here by the thousands, right? That are like, oh, we have this wonderful new fill in the blank product of some kind, right? And it does lift, and they're super proud to say, 20% lift. I'm like, 20%, 20%. That's good. It's good.
yeah,
Ugh, really?
yeah. But
If you can say 10x, 20x, like, oh my God, now you have my attention because I believe we're at that kind of inflection where it's capable of achieving these orders of magnitude improvements, not only in the consumer experience, but in terms of the marketer sort of realization of what the media, what the technology can provide. And that's exciting.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's multiples because for the last 30 years, whatever content we have seen, text, images, videos, all of that is more than just two-dimensional, it's just one-way content.
Yeah.
So I'm just like consuming what you have to say, but I can't be a part of it.
Yep.
Now, when we make the end consumer a part of what a brand wants to say, or let's say an e-commerce website wants to say,
Yep.
or let's say a movie trailer wants to say, that's when there's like engagement, which has never been seen before.
And then there's it's a double whammy, right? So you see it in real life and you're like blown away, and then you come to the realization, this is the worst this product will ever be.
Absolutely. Uh, what industries do you think? Obviously, I know ads is gonna be a massive use case of what brands can do with Plan. What other industries will it break through?
I gonna turn that around. I think that's the wrong question. What industries can't utilize Flam?
Love it.
Defense, transportation, shipping, hospitality. I want to see what I'm choosing hotels. Oh yeah, I want to see what the room looks like in 3D. I want to streamed.
Streamed, and you can just like talk to it. You don't have to like
Defense, everything.
everything.
I think I would invert the question. No, I'm not sure I have an answer on what industries couldn't be able to utilize a technology like that. You have to prioritize though, because the way you go to market, you can't shotgun to them all.
Exactly why we are like going super deep into the ad market, and then obviously everything else that is coming to us. We are looking at the TAM today.
Yes.
And how fast we can break through, and then we are entering that market.
Yeah, or focus on the SAM, not the TAM.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another very interesting advice. Uh, Talking about 2026, what's one super uncomfortable truth that's about disrupt media advertising, and people should like get ready for it?
So every time there's a new technology innovation, you have to, there will be a phase of time, a handover, like a handing a baton. Not all the batons are going to be smoothly handed over. Some of the batons are going to drop. Um, and uh, when radio shifted to TV, and then when print shifted to display, every time there is a handoff, there is a messy transition period.
Yes.
Um, I mean, print to display took 20 years to go through that transition. This is going to be a lot shorter, but even that will be a little bit more disruptive to, I think, one of the most critical aspects of this, and that is people, humans. There will be people who won't make that leap. There will be people whose point in their career they're in their early 50s and they're at the prime, but maybe they'll make the leap, and I hope they do. They really got to lean in. They got to go back to school, right? They really have to have that growth mentality of waking up every morning saying, I'm going to learn everything I possibly can because I know the future is going to be different than it was yesterday, and I have to be prepared for that. So that to be the case, but I think there will be disruption and there will be job loss, and that's an uncomfortable reality on any technology transition. But I think it'll be particularly acute with AI.
So as AI reshapes everything from creation to consumption to attribution, as we all know it, what ad formats, and I would love for you to talk about Flam, what ad formats or mediums will help brands truly stand apart in the years ahead?
An ad format that we haven't seen yet or haven't thought of or hasn't propagated. Because if you just said, is it a display rectangle? We all know that's not the answer. Is it a yeah? It's just think of the existing formats, and they'll all be, I'm sure, helpful. But if we think of the paradigm being a better user experience, more facilitative interaction with what the user is looking to accomplish, by definition, I don't think it'll be video. Video is good for entertainment. Video can be useful and effective to convey a message. But on the objective of shortening the path to purchase, watching a video is not necessarily going to get you there. So I think it has to be a format, and it may very well be streamed 3D like Flam does. But I'm actually here to say maybe, and that should work. But maybe there'll be another one. It's some other company
Yeah.
out of Portugal or out of Brazil or out of Japan is gonna invent that will capture people's attention. I think it's a format that we're not used to right now. I think it's a future format.
Love it. Uh, I'll just quickly cover the last and the most exciting segment, which is
All right,
favorite.
I'm ready.
This is totally spontaneous.
Okay.
You have no
Like the rest, yeah.
like the rest. Yes. Uh, the next era of advertising will be defined by what?
Value creation.
A piece of advice I wish someone gave me earlier in my career.
Believe in yourself.
The future of consumer attention will be driven by
Will be driven by facilitation.
what keeps me optimistic about the future of advertising is.
The humans in it.
Love it. Thank you so much, Terry. Thanks again for your spending time.